All right, the button says we are live on the air. Meet Westmarch order. Let's go and start at the top and do a call to order. I believe we will be starting.
I saw it.
One of the
Look on the dryer. Okay. I'm not sure.
I don't know if it's just me, but your slide showing pretty bad, Ian.
Sorry, what?
Your slide showing pretty bad.
Oh yeah, that's perfect. Let's see what I want to hear right now. I was asking for a roll call.
Dave Inglis here.
David Zucker, Prime Minister here.
Elisa Mott, Liaison Officer here.
Ian Crawford, President of the BoD, present.
Jody Bagley, Vice President, present.
Marcus Bergman, alt here.
Robert Mott, Treasurer here.
Six, seven. Did we skip him or did they just not hear?
All right, Kim Gilchrist, Secretary here.
So
Kim,
for the
you'll
sake
go
of
after me because we're usually in alphabetical order.
For the sake of voting, since we have all 7 members present, I guess we should need you to be voting. So we will have Jody, then Kim, then Robert.
Ian, can you repeat that? I didn't get all of it.
Bloody hell. For the sake of voting, we won't be needing Mark into the ether. Might be possible here. So the voting order will have Jody, then Kim, then Kim, then Robert.
Thank you.
All right. So conduct of last meeting's minute. Kim, if can you guys hear me at all?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just occasionally you have the electronic distortion, the like, wah.
You're cutting out a lot to me.
It's all the open mics. If people can mute all of their mics, except for the person actually talking, and only unmute when you're about to say something, I think it'll go a lot smoother and we'll be able to hear Ian better.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, but there was an electronic twing on the now.
All right, well, let's try to continue as best we can. If we could, I'd like to have the reading of last.
Does Kim know she's still muted?
Doesn't. Marcus, could you go ahead and step in for her while she tries to reconnect, please?
Do you want me to read the minutes then?
Please.
All right, I'll have to pull them up. I didn't have them up before.
I don't trust my connection enough to read them myself. Would anyone like to volunteer?
I'm willing to do it, but I'll need to pull them up also.
All right. Well, I have them up already, so I'll give it a
I'm there if I'm coming in clear.
Excuse me?
I am there if I'm coming in clear. I can go ahead and read them.
You're on.
All right, I'll go ahead and read them. Westmarch Board of Directors 2018 January meeting notes. Thursday, January 18th began at 7 p.m. Those in attendance was Ian, Robert Mott, Elisa Mott, Jody, Kim, David, and myself, Marcus Bergman. Unable to attend was David, who was out of town. Meeting called to order at 7:23 p.m. Roll call held, and last meeting notes were read. Corrections requested, and there were none. A motion was made and accepted. First order of business was the election of BoD officers. The Westmarch Kapora BoD article requirements were read. All and new officers were voted in unanimously. They are Ian Crawford, President, Jody Van Tyne, Vice President, Kim Richards, Gilchrist, Secretary, Robert Mott, Treasurer, Elisa Mott, Liaison. Quick review of the Board of Directors Handbook was read by Ian Crawford. A discussion about land attendance placeholders ensued. The wording of required is to replace with suggested. The vote passed unanimously. A vote on the continued use of the EIN form was motioned and seconded, passed 6-1. Next was the land audit advertising requirements. Discussion about the effects of recent Kapora changes were discussed. The motion that the current wording about land advertising in the BoD handbook be changed to match that of exactly what is in the Kapora was stated and seconded. Due to further discussion, a vote to retain or strike the advertising portion of the handbook ensued. The vote to strike the land audit advertising portion of the BoD handbook passed unanimously. 2016 PayPal adoption as the preferred way of receiving funds was discussed, as were fees required. The motion to continue with the PayPal adoption was stated and seconded. Vote passed unanimously. Digital signatures for land contracts, EIN forms, and waivers policy accepted by the 2017 BoD. Note that CAKE and the Kapora Committee no longer exists. A vote that this BoD continue to accept digital signatures was motioned and seconded. The vote passed unanimously. A vote on adopting all remaining policies in the handbook was proposed and seconded. Vote passed unanimously. Old business. P.O. Box key current holders are Robert Mott, David Zucker, and Jody Begley. There is one more key held by Robbie Stark, which Ian will attempt to obtain. Yurik is to ask the post office if the key needs to be turned into them, and if so, find out if there is a fee refund. A vote on tabling this key discussion until February was motioned and seconded. The vote passed unanimously. Jody Begley reported on Darkshore 21 and the problem with the site regarding payment. Just lost my place. On the site, final site fees, and moving forward with purchasing insurance. The weekend for May 10th through 13th, 2018 is reserved for us. No deposit is required. Clarification on BoD is to approve the application and insurance contract, but not disperse the funds. Payment portion is a monarchy issue. Jody asked if a special meeting is needed to be called for this, or if we can handle it in the February BoD meeting. Meeting can be called if necessary. The motion that the Darkshore discussion be tabled pending further information from the campsite was made and seconded. The vote passed 6 ayes to 1 abstain. New business. Land audit due date was postponed as January 31st and also was posted as January 31st and also February 1st. A motion was made to the first at 11:59 p.m. as per the Westmarch Monarch and seconded. The vote passed unanimously. Next is the Wave Haven audit criteria, where the land voted to self-demote themselves to a barony in lieu of not passing the audit as a duchy. The discussion here was whether they submit the 2017 audit as a barony or as a duchy, since the requirement for each are slightly different. It makes a difference in whether they may pass or not. A motion was made to allow the Wave Haven to submit the 2017 audit as a barony and seconded. The vote passed 1 nay, 1 abstain, and 5 ayes. Advertising is on the agenda, but was previously discussed during the meeting. Open floor. Marcus Bergman brought up business allowing AmpGuard members discounts. There are currently 3, H&R Block, a fitness center, and a fast food restaurant. Tandy Leather previously did. Hertz. Discussion of the membership perks will be tabled until March BoD meeting. February BoD meeting will address land audits. A motion for the date and time was made and seconded. The vote passed unanimously. Is scheduled for Thursday, February 15th at 7 p.m. Meeting adjourned. That is all. I will mute.
Looks like Ian left and he hasn't come back. So do we need a motion to approve the minutes from the January meeting?
Hello.
Ian, are you back? I see you now. Okay, never mind.
Robert makes the motion that we accept the minutes as read.
David Z seconds.
Ian, are you back?
You can't talking.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and vote then. I can't hear Ian, but I can see him.
That would do it. Can you hear me now?
There you go. Okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
Also, for point of order, if I ever disappear and Robert's here, Sir York is here, he takes over.
It would be Jody. She's vice president this year.
I must be thinking the last year. My bad. Hello. Oh yeah, there it is, Jody, vice president. Never mind, you were doing great. Thank you, Jody.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ian.
Did we call the vote?
So we voted on the minutes to approve the minutes of last month, and we're up for a vote.
Okay. Was it my vote? Where were we?
We're at the start of the order.
David,
One of the Davids, I think. Is it Demos that starts?
It is Damos who starts.
All right. Damos, Dave Inglis votes yes.
David Z votes yes.
Elisa votes yes.
Ian votes aye.
Jody votes aye.
Marcus votes aye in place of Kim Richards.
Thank you.
Robert votes aye to accept as read.
You guys have it then. Well, hopefully we don't have any further hiccups, because good God, this meeting's going to be arduous enough. So that is that. Let us move now to old business. First matter of old business was PO Box keys. I believe we were waiting on me to acquire the key from Bobby Starks. I did not have a chance to get that yet, because I'm a slacker apparently. We were also going to talk to the post office, I believe.
So I went and stood in line and I spoke with the clerk and they said, oh yeah, of course you'll get a refund. And as I was walking away, a supervisor said, no, you just need to return the key. And then if you lose it again, we'll charge again. So I kind of want to double check that if we actually get the key, because I got conflicting information.
Yeah. Was the supervisor the postmaster general, or not general, but postmaster of the branch store?
It was not the postmaster. It was just someone that said they were the supervisor and that if we had a key, we needed to return it.
Okay. I think I would be interested in hearing from what the postmaster said. That's just me.
Okay. I have no problem asking to speak with them. My uncle was an assistant postmaster, so yeah. Okay. I'll pursue that next week.
Yeah, since we still have time, because I still haven't gotten the key back.
Okay.
I say, want me to go ahead and do that. Anything else we want to discuss on the matter of the PO Box keys? Shall we table to next meeting?
I make a motion to discuss the issue of keys until the March BoD meeting.
David seconds tabling until March.
Okay. And David, I could you go ahead and start the vote, please.
Dave, I votes yes.
David V votes aye.
Elisa votes yes.
Ian votes aye.
Jody votes aye.
Marcus votes yes.
Robert votes aye.
I have it. We will come back to this, in March. All right, next is the Darkshore 21 Monterey County Parks application. Jody shared with the board and with the rest of Westmarch at large a couple of new applications that you had to fill out.
Yes. What it looks like to me is we filled out the application that was available on their website, and we submitted that in December, and that pretty much secured the date. But there looks like there's new forms. So one form that I sent you was the plans, which included the site development plan, traffic, parking, sanitation. You can read that, animal control, vendors, and that. The second one, there was actually two, but the one that was applicable to us was the County of Monterey Special Event Medical Plan. So I posted both of those on the CA Amped Guard forums and then to our chat. Also, I posted, we are required for the first part, the site development plan, to make a copy of the map. I never really got a map from Kayla, so I just downloaded one off of their website, which looked to me like it included the Deanza building and the RV site and part of the site, but not a lot of the site that we used. And we were supposed to not only discuss it under Section A of the site development plan, but also designate it on the map. So I included a copy of the map that I designated these sites in colored pencil. The only thing I don't think that was on the map I sent you was the vendor sites. We have 4 vendors. They're going to be located around the Deanza building. I had a question to Kayla about the t-shirt, sweatshirt that we were going to sell for fundraisers. And she said basically if we sell something that needs to be described as a vendor. So the fourth vendor is actually going to be at Gate, and Mia Gallo, our Gateocrat, is in charge of the fundraising of the t-shirts and sweatshirts. So that is one of the vendors. Anyway, so a lot of this we've set out in detail on the application. We have copied it onto our website and also copied that onto the Darkshore event that we have shared with all of the Westmarch lands and some of the other kingdoms. So the instructions are to complete this plan, the site development plan and the special event medical plan and the map, and then resubmit it to the County of Monterey, where they will take these applications and the information and come up with a package that will be presented to the new park supervisor or liaison or whatever his title is. And then they will give us the amount that we need to pay, the registration information, and also what the insurance requirements will be.
Okay. Anyone have any questions about the applications and information presented by Jody? All right, so doesn't sound like anyone have any questions. Is this a matter of not having a chance to review the proper forms yet?
Right. Yeah, Nikita's looking at it right now.
I know we had discussed last time about having Nikita review the insurance application, but I can't do that until I have the actual event approval and the package back from the Parks Department. So this is not that yet.
Way more detailed than they have been in the past, I feel like.
Well, I think what happened was I used the 2014 form on the website, which is what we've had in the past, and then they revised everything.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that for future events, this is the only thing that they're going to need to do. But we'll see. It's pretty detailed.
Is. Well, in the interest of getting the meeting moving along, may I suggest we vote to have a loose approval of the form by the board, which that way Jody may submit the forms to Monterey County as soon as applicable. That way we can ensure that our event's going to, go off on time. And if there is a urgent pressing need for something to be modified by the board, we can hold an emergency meeting as soon as necessary and hopefully get a revised application into Monterey before something goes boom.
Well, for the most part, we're going into uncharted territory because they've never required this for any of our previous events. So aside from kind of a quick glance to make sure nothing really jumps out at us, this is sort of going to be our test dummy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I'm looking at is submitting this, and then probably for the March BoD meeting, hopefully I'll have the application, what we need to reserve the site and the costs, and then also the insurance requirements. So I'm kind of hoping to get this in so I can have that for the March BoD meeting, which kind of is like only 2 months before the event, but I think that's the way it's looking.
Well, I don't think the board has any matter to do with paying the cost. That's up to you as the autocrat and your budget to handle.
Okay.
We're only rubber stamping the paperwork. So if everything here goes off without a hitch, I think the only thing the board would have to discuss would be approving the insurance requirement and form for that.
Okay. Sounds
So
good.
Robert Mott makes the motion that we allow Jody and Kim to move forward with what they have to at this time and table the discussion of the contract, hopefully an actual contract, until the March meeting.
David Z seconds.
There we go. All right, David, would you go ahead and vote to table till March with a approval to submit the contract as it stands? Or
Dave, I
application,
votes
excuse me.
yes.
David Z votes yes.
Elisa votes yes.
I'll vote aye.
Jody votes abstain.
Marcus votes yes.
Robert votes yes.
All right, so we have 6 ayes and 1 abstain, so the ayes have it. Jody and Kim are free to submit this application and hopefully get, Monterey County back on track to allow us to have our event at their park and pay them lots of money to do it.
For what it's worth, I have reviewed both things, and they both look pretty good. Any concerns I have will just be to the fact we haven't submitted one before, so I don't know what to expect, but otherwise it looked like it was done very well.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right, so I believe that concludes our old business. New business, I did not have any submissions that I can recall that I noted anywhere of new business. So we're done with new business, which leads us to the land audits. All right, hopefully everyone had a chance to review the land audits in advance. We've had a couple of weeks from the deadline, like literally 2 weeks from the deadline to tonight to review the audits. Azus managed to provide a worksheet. Was that the same one crypt from Kaya last year?
I missed part of it.
I was asking if
I
the
think-
worksheet was.
I think
cribbed
it was
from
the one that Kaya submitted last year. It looked familiar, and
Yeah.
it's nice. Makes
Yeah, I
it easy.
took last year, updated it a little.
So all credit to Kaya for that. Thank you. All right. So, should we have Azus kind of run us through the land audits, since him and I were the primary sources or contacts for the submittal of audits, and then we can quickly go over anything we see wrong with a particular land and have a very brief discussion on it, and then quickly have a vote on it. I like that plan, right?
I like that
Right.
poem.
Okay.
Okay, first one is Adrian's Hall. Has everyone had a chance to look at it?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
So I did buzz Slowpoke about it. Before he turned in the audit, he was asking about the advertising requirement. So I did tell him that the minimum per the board's discussion was to write a few sentences about greeting people who walk by, how they're brought into the game as the barest minimum. So as I recall, the letter was kind of minimal for advertising and recruitment. Let's see. Anybody have any other idea or thoughts on their audit?
Well,
The only comment that I had was I thought spell check would be nice. Kind of one of my peeves.
The only thing I noted was a missing recruitment example, but if the BoD is accepting text explanation, then that's a different story.
Well, he pretty much said in the text that they didn't do any recruitment, and that was the issue I have with the audit, was that he came out and said there was no recruitment at all. So I don't feel like that qualifies as an example of recruitment.
I'd agree with that.
So one of the questions I had, is it our place to say something to them about their officers not being dues paid? That breaches corpora.
Ager Hall is still a shire, right? So,
Yeah, but
officers-
still to be an officer, even if you're pro tem, don't you have to be dues paid?
for the audit,
They're a barony at this time.
Or a barony? Well, then, even more so.
Since when are they a barony?
No,
Or
they're
they're
still
shire. But still, don't you have to be dues paid to
Sorry.
be an officer, even if you're pro tem?
Yeah,
the-
that's in the corpora.
Yeah, they're Shire.
For the sake,
Shire, sorry.
for the
They
sake
also
of the
had, I don't know the details, they had a discussion about the bare minimum qualifications to run for office in Coreland, which was another question Slowpoke had. And I responded pointing out that if they're not qualified, it bumps down to whoever did qual, bumps down to eventually whoever's interested is what's in the corpora. If you don't have anyone who's qualified and dues paid, you basically have a list of. So it is possible to be not dues paid and go get into office as pro tem, and everyone they have listed is pro tem.
I disagree with that because it specifically says under each of the descriptions of offices that you must be a voting member, which includes having paid dues. You have to have dues, you have to have attendance, you have to have been here for 6 months or 3 months, whatever it is.
Yeah, and if you have an officer who's declaring and doesn't meet those requirements, then it bounces down to whoever has qualified and meets those requirements. And if you don't have anyone who meets those requirements, I think it is in the corpora, whoever's interested. But you have to go through everybody qualified first. But I don't think they had anyone qualified.
Hey, Kim's back.
So it says, under section 3 for qualification requirements, candidates for monarch, regent, champion, and heir apparent must meet the following requirements: maintain attendance and be a dues paid member. Usually we read these at the beginning of the audit, but I mean, that's aside. But it's section 3, number 2A, maintain attendance and be a dues paid member. And then B, pass the Reeves test. C, corpora. D, meet the required number of cultural quals.
But is that part of the audit process?
it is not.
Okay.
So let's move on.
Yeah, for the sake of the shire, they do not have to have a list of current officers for the audit. So it's rather irrelevant whether or not they're dues paid or not for the sake of the actual grading of an audit. Is it something that the monarchy should probably follow through with Agers Hall with? Absolutely. But for the sake of this audit, we're just arguing.
Okay.
For no reason.
Okay, agreed.
Any other issues anyone have with Ager Hall, please?
Can I
All right,
make
my
a
assistant.
motion that we vote on Agers Hall then?
Yes, let's.
I also had in my notes that there was 2 straight weeks with no attendance whatsoever.
And our ledger was not.
Here's
I believe it was December. I'm not certain. Sorry.
Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, which they explained it as Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve.
Yes.
And that would still meet the every other week requirements for a shire then?
No, that's 2 weeks in a row. But do we want to actually grade
right,
someone?
sorry.
Do we want to grade down a group for not meeting on holidays? I don't like the precedence of that myself.
I don't think it's a good idea.
I wouldn't.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry. Never mind.
No worries.
No, it's good to bring up.
Just things
so we
I
have-
noticed.
So we had a motion to vote on the audit for Aegis Hall. David, would you go ahead and start the voting process unless someone else has anything they'd like to say? Do it.
Dave I votes pass.
David Z votes pass.
Elisa votes pass.
Ian will vote pass.
Jody votes pass.
Kim votes pass.
Robert votes pass.
Excellent. And welcome back in. Thank you for making an attempt to come back in. Let me just do that on the spreadsheet. So I'm going to do that.
So one other point of question I have, in the Corpora, it says you must maintain an electronic ledger. Several groups did not do that. Are we just going to accept scribbling on notebook paper so I know for my notes that I took?
Is not typing it into the audit form, a digital form of that ledger?
But there are several groups that did not do that, sir.
So under Article 5, Government, Section 4, Dues and Policies of the Treasury, number 5, Item 5. A ledger showing every transaction involving the Treasury funds and a running total of the Treasury must be maintained. So like the Treasury ledger may be a physical handwritten ledger or may be a digital ledger as long as the file is provided to the next officer to maintain the Treasury. Is that the part of the core you're referring to?
I was talking about under Prime Minister where it says you have to maintain an electronic ledger.
There'd be a conflict of terms then. Double check it actually says that.
Are we talking about Ashenspire? Or have we moved on?
We have not talked about Ashenspire yet.
Okay, I got lost.
I think
Performing a search of the word ledger in the current corpora only brings up the information that Ian just read in an additional section under audits about copies of financial records and ledger for the past 6 months.
okay,
Article 3, Offices of the Kingdom. Section 4, the Prime Minister.
D,
Ida,
the financial
items-
records are maintained in a digital spreadsheet format.
Yeah, so it does not in fact say a digital format in the for Prime Minister, but then it later on in the document says either or. So
So
read
again,
that.
not our purview. Okay.
Yeah, again, not a purview. Also, I would say that later on the document would probably take precedence, especially since there's a conflict. I wouldn't grade anyone down for not following the letter of the Corpora when it's being conflicted. It's something that might need to be addressed in an amendment, but I don't feel like we should be nitpicking over that in regards to the audit.
For what it's worth, under the audit section, it specifically just states copy of financial records and ledger for the past 6 months. So the audit section doesn't call out for the electronic ledger or electronic spreadsheet. So I can see how that might have been a problem with some of the PMs.
Yeah. I was trying to save time and not read the Corpora, but I feel like I should have done that at the beginning, though.
That's fine. We don't have to. Let's just go on if we all agree that that's what it says.
Yeah. David, what's next?
Next up is Ashenspire.
We just lose somebody? We lost
If we
Jody.
did, they'll be back.
All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So for the time being, Marcus, you're back in until Jody's able to join back in, all right? It would be an awesome time for Marcus to be away from the computer.
No, I'm here. My screen wouldn't let me unmute.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so for the time being, you're voting for Jody until she shows up, and if she doesn't, then you're in for the rest of the game, kid.
Okay. I expect her to come back.
Ash and Spire. What is everyone's thoughts about Ash and Spire?
Looks like they're trying really hard for a reboot. Unfortunately, they didn't start until August. I don't know. So is that they missed July's sign-ins, or is that we start when they started? Because I know what I want to do, because they're trying really hard to get it going. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, but, you know, I'm one of 7.
I think we should start when they started and not ding them for when they didn't exist.
Technically speaking, if they weren't even here for the entire audit period, they wouldn't have had to submit one. So I think it's good to kind of give them that benefit too, since they started in August and everything is dialed in.
Yeah, they even submitted the baronial requirements, the officers list, quals results, and election results. So definitely trying really hard.
Do they still have an Amtgard contract or Westmarch contract? That's probably not part of the audit, right?
It is not, but, you know, it's a nice thing to know. And yes, I believe we still have an Ash and Spire contract on file.
And then the cash that they had.
None of the people who signed the contract are still playing, but.
Well,
and wasn't there a question last year about they had some cash and we had a question where it was being kept?
And I buzzed, I know her name. Yes, and she's not sure where it is. She's had trouble contacting some of the old officers.
Because I thought it was someone had it in the treasury or something like that, and they were going to give it to her, and I don't know if that ever happened.
To my knowledge, it has not.
Right.
And
so
if you look
for
at their
this audit,
there's nothing about them getting the money back. It's just dues is the only thing showing up on their ledger.
So again, we should just give them the benefit of the doubt, starting afresh, new with a clean slate, zero ledger, and go from there.
I don't see why we wouldn't.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just okay.
Agreed.
Any other comments about the Ash and Spire audit?
I think they've showed a tremendous amount of motivation and dedication to getting their park started up again, and I admire that.
All right, shall we have a vote then?
I make a motion that we vote on Ash and Spire.
Robert seconds.
David, aye, please.
Dave, I votes excellent.
Votes excellent.
Elisa votes excellent.
Dan will vote excellent.
Jody, excellent.
Kim, your microphone's muted if you can hear us. Well, the Hangouts is saying she's here.
Well, she unmuted, but
Kim, if you can hear us, can you maybe type in your answer?
Marcus, go ahead and vote for her, please.
I vote excellent.
Kim said she votes excellent on Ash and Spire through the Facebook. She did it on the Darkshore Crat team, but I can see her vote.
I was going to say, I didn't see it.
No, it's on the
Robert votes
Darkshore.
excellent.
Okay. Well, since Kim is still participating, I'll go ahead and move Marcus's vote under Kim. The excellence have it. All right. What's next, David?
Next up is various office. Various office, they just one regular thing, but they have better practice before and after. So if you can't decide
What?
Yeah, you got really muffled in there. I'm sorry, Zeus. But I believe what I heard was that you mentioned they were dark on the 10th of September, but they had a final practice both the week before and the week of. And I would agree that I feel like that would count for an attendance for that week. So I do not feel like they were missing any weekly or mandated weekly attendances.
And I did buzz Kaya, and apparently that day the park, most of the members of the park got together for a non-amp social thing. So that's why they were dark that day.
Okay, well, I noticed on one entry, she put that that Kaya was there on November 12th, and yet the Facebook page for the group states that her and Ben had other plans, so they weren't going to be there. So I'm kind of wondering, you know, why there's a conflict on that particular date.
And she was the only one at all on the sign-in for that day. Also, have we discussed the multiple reproductions, electronic reproductions instead of written sign-in sheets, or is it no big thing?
They have stated frequently in the past that they use an electronic sign-in.
Okay, it's just sometimes it's electronic, sometimes it's written, so
Yeah.
wasn't sure about that.
Did they even mention it in this audit period letter?
How does she give herself a class credit if there was no other person to fight and therefore no way to have a class game? Just odd.
Hmm.
It must be because she has a lot of class.
Well, it sounds like there might need to be some follow-up with their sign-in sheet practices, but they are providing copies of the sign-in sheets for the Kapora. Anyone else care to weigh in on that matter?
I don't know. I just have a problem with the conflicting information on there because looking at their Facebook page on November 12th, there was a post saying that they weren't going to be out there, and yet she signed in on that date. So that's kind of
Falsifying records.
yeah. I just don't. Yeah, I don't know what to do. How to judge that on the criteria.
Devil's advocate, she could have told people they weren't going to be there, so people didn't show up, and then she ended up going to the park at the time and nobody was there, so she signed herself in. So it may not be malicious, it might just be bad practice.
But then it would seem to me like she would do a follow-up post on Facebook saying, by the way, I'm here, guys. You know, anyone want to come out?
That's conjecture, though.
If technology is working properly.
Anyway, okay, whatever. I just, that seems fishy to me, but
What
yeah.
date was this? I'll follow up with her from a non-BoD standpoint.
It was November 12th.
Yeah, I made a note. Thank you.
And what struck me as weird on that is because she said her and Ben had something to do, then she went to the park. Typically, never mind. Anyway, okay, let's move on. I motion that we call for a vote on Aria Saltus.
David Z seconds.
Daniel, if you could start off the vote, please, then.
Dave I votes excellent.
David Z votes excellent.
Elisa votes pass.
Yeah, we'll vote excellent. Votes to you, Jody.
Facebook, him.
I think she dropped.
That
Looks like
worked.
Jody might have dropped here.
There, and now we have the record.
Marcus votes pass. If Marcus needs to vote, he votes pass.
One moment. Jody, your vote.
Sorry, I might cut out for a while. Did you miss me?
Yes.
Yes,
I vote
horribly.
pass.
Okay, pass it is.
Or excellent, sorry.
Let's get
And
vote
Robert
again.
votes excellent by the audit guidelines.
What was Kim's vote, please, again for the record, since we're actually on her vote now?
I missed part of what you said.
Kim's vote was pass on the phone.
Thank you. And then Robert, you're an excellent.
Yeah, by our guidelines, yes.
Okay, so by my count, that's 4 excellents and 3 passes, so the excellents have it. Our assaultists will receive an excellent.
I'm sorry, what was the number of excellents and the number of passes?
4 excellents to 3 passes.
Thank you.
All right, what's next?
Next is Belial Peaks. Belial Peaks.
The only thing I noticed is they didn't technically meet every other week, but most of those instances they were visiting other Westmarch parks, so it might be kind of counterproductive to punish them for actually still participating in Westmarch Amp Guard.
I agree.
I really like the idea that they travel between parks to support each other, but it's kind of hard when you're doing an audit and their numbers drop because they're at a different park or they have joint quals. I mean, it's not anything bad against them. It just kind of makes it difficult to determine if they meet the audit requirements sometimes.
Yeah, the thing that I noticed was that they had a travel day, then they had a no park day, and then they had another travel day, you know, for a 3-week period. So they didn't meet for a total of 3 weeks in a row, and one of those wasn't a travel day. Or at least they didn't designate it as such.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that they had plenty of opportunities to, meet at least every other week, but for whatever reason, the monarchy decided that they weren't going to meet that day.
I think I'd be more concerned if it were a barony or higher, but being it's just a shire, a little bit of wiggle room. But I understand your concerns.
I really liked their flyer and their advertising material.
It has happened in the past that Wyvern did not meet at park for a month, but this was myself and Thistledown being the entire park. I would be at one park 1 week, and 2 weeks later, Thistledown was at another park another week. And Wyvern did not get dinged for not meeting for a month because we met elsewhere. With that precedent, this is actually functioning and travels a lot.
Maybe it might be helpful for future audits to recommend when a land does a big travel thing like that, that they also get a copy of the sign-in sheet and include that with their audit and circle their members so it shows that those people are still active and it's not just one person going and carrying a park through a null day.
Almost use it like a placeholder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea. That would help.
Now I'm still stuck on
Good.
meeting every other week, though. Anyone else have any comments about Belial Peak's audits? Shall we have a vote?
I make a motion that we vote on Belial Peaks.
David Z seconds.
All right, Damos, if you please.
Okay, 5 votes, excellent.
David Z votes excellent.
Elisa votes excellent.
Ian will vote pass.
Jody votes pass.
Is Kim voting or am I voting?
I'll give her a minute.
I can leave that up on here.
Kim votes pass.
All right. Yeah.
And Robert votes excellent because they are still going, and yeah.
All right. So before excellence and 3 passes, OLP shall receive an excellent for this audit period. What do we got next?
Bremen's Fortress.
Anything worth noting for Bremen's Fortress?
It looked to me like they were missing sign-ins from July 20th, September 27th, and November 23rd. And they didn't have a placeholder or a letter to explain it in the audit package, although as a Shire, they're only required to meet every other week.
It doesn't look like they met on the 20th of July.
Let me see if I remember correctly. This is the one that their initial audit was missing the sign-in sheets, and then they submitted additional.
That was TR also.
Double check that since I didn't make note of anything except for 720. So I believe.
What were those other dates, Jody?
I had 720, 927, and 1123.
927 would have been FOM.
Okay, so then there was just the 2.
1123, they put 0 on the summary.
That would be right at Thanksgiving.
And 720, they didn't meet.
I didn't see a placeholder or anything that said why they didn't meet. So
They're not required
as far as
to meet.
sign-ins, right? But as far as sign-ins, I would ding them. But as far as attendance, I would not. Then, right?
Well,
Okay, so my issue with them was the sign or their ledger where they did not specify who paid the dues and things like that. You know, it seemed to me to be fairly incomplete.
Okay. Any other comments about Bremen Fortress?
I will make a motion.
Robert
that we
moves
vote.
we go for a vote on Bremen's Fortress.
Oh, I'll second that.
There you go.
Dave, I votes excellent.
Excellent.
Could you say that again, please, David? Z?
David C votes excellent.
Again, please, you keep bringing up. Sorry.
Elisa votes pass.
I still need to hear from David Zucker, please.
Excellent.
Okay, thank you. Ian will
Spit it
vote
out,
excellent.
Azuis.
You're killing me, Smalls.
Jody votes excellent.
Tim voted excellent in Facebook Messenger.
And Robert will vote excellent, though. Again, the ledgers, we've got to do something about these ledgers being handwritten and very hard to discern.
Yeah, I'm not happy with it, but it's there. So as far as the audit's concerned, I think that qualifies. We should definitely follow through and be like, listen, this is bad business, right?
I agree.
Maybe not so condescending. It came out really bad, sorry. All right. We got through Brian's Fortress. So what's next, please?
Clockwork Spires is exempt because they're new, so that leaves Crimsonwood.
Can we just go right to a vote?
Does anyone have anything they'd
They
like
do
to
not.
discuss about Crimsonwood?
They actually turned it.
All right. Anyone have commentary on Crimsonwood?
Nope. To me, it looked good.
Same.
Third,
David Z moves to vote.
second,
All right. Same with please.
Dave I votes excellent.
David Z votes excellent.
Elisa votes excellent.
Daniel vote excellent. Jody, your vote.
Votes excellent.
Jody, your vote.
sorry, Jody votes excellent. I didn't hear you, Ian. I apologize.
No worries. People keep talking over me. At least that's what it sounds like on my end. There's latency crap and bull. Anyway, Kim voted excellent on Facebook Messenger as
And
David.
Robert Mott votes excellent.
Excellent have it. Crimsonwood has an excellent. We all in agreement that Clockwork Spire should be exempt. It occurred to me that we actually should verbalize this.
Yeah, they should be exempt.
Any protests? Exempt it is.
Wait, who should be exempt?
Clockwork Spires.
Clockwork Spires.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Of course.
So next-
excellent. All right, go ahead. David, go ahead.
All right, next up is Fall Dare. They did not submit an audit. I messaged their prime minister and never heard back. What's her name? River, who is a member of their park, but I don't think current monarchy. Messaged myself and I believe a couple of other folks in Westmarch, as well as has been bugging their prime minister, and we never got it.
I actually got a statement to the board of directors from River Gale, but it will not load because my computer's being a pain in the butt, or Facebook's being a pain in the butt, at least. But basically, I believe it's among the same thing that that they were not able to get an audit in, and that she plans to take over as prime minister next term. So hopefully we can look forward to getting an audit from them next term. Any other comments about Foul Dare?
Their autofill per Kapora.
Any protest to that?
I don't know if we need a vote on it.
Should we
Unless
vote
it's
just as a formality?
No, it's an
But
auto
I don't
fill.
I don't see the need. So unless anyone has any protests, gonna go
Nope,
ahead.
no protests here.
No protest.
I'd be good.
All right. What's next?
Next up is Misty Vale. Lady T turned that in, I want to say before 2018 even started.
Are you surprised?
No.
I liked their placeholder for low attendance.
Does anyone have any or issues or?
I make a motion that we vote on Misty Vale.
The only note I had about Misty Vale was that there was a addition error on the ledger submitted on the worksheet, but it got corrected by like the third line below it. So not a big deal, I don't think.
I still make my motion.
There's a
I
motion.
second it.
There it is. Damos, if you please.
Dave I votes excellent.
David Z votes excellent.
Elisa votes excellent.
I'll vote excellent.
Jody votes excellent.
Tim votes excellent via Facebook Messenger.
Robert votes excellent.
Excellent out of 10. What's next?
Next is your data.
7 Sleeping Dragons.
Oh, okay. 7 Sleeping Dragons. The silly alphabet thing. Any comments on 7 Sleeping Dragons?
Literally have none as my notes.
If we
I
don't
make
vote,
the motion, we move to a vote.
Any protest? All right,
I'll
let's
second the
vote.
motion.
Let's go ahead.
Dave, I votes excellent.
You would.
he votes excellent.
Elisa votes excellent.
Ian voted excellent.
Jody votes excellent. Yay.
Voted excellent via Facebook Messenger.
Robert votes excellent, and they've still got some strong numbers for moving from a school group to not. They're still really consistent.
We must have good people down there or something. All right, what's next?
Okay, next is they calculated their monthly uniques wrong, but I ran a look and they definitely meet the attendance.
For who?
Shark Guitar.
Okay.
I didn't see advertising in there. Did I just miss it?
What did I have down for them?
They described it in their letter.
There we go. Yeah, it is described in the letter, if I recall. Let me pull up the audit document itself.
Yeah, they were hosting a Boy Scout event, and then in December, that was their. They had the Facebook group as a screenshot was provided, a meetup.com group screenshot was provided. They volunteered and held an AmpGuard event with the Boy Scouts of America in October.
So that's explanations.
Cool. Thank you. It was I've had computer problems with it, so it's hard to tell that stuff.
Yeah, I had problems getting a few things to open myself, so I understand.
They actually provide the screenshot?
Are they not on the same schedule as the rest of Westmarch?
Is that the Thursday park?
No.
Bremen's Fortress and I think Clockwork Spires are both Thursday parks.
Ah.
But Shargata is running a January through June terms of office.
Right, which would not be proper by the Kapora, but isn't something the audit deals with.
That being said, we move to a vote on Shargata.
Actually, I had one more question. I don't know if my version was correct or not, but I also had written down that the Monarch ANS entries weren't in there. I didn't see the Monarch was pro tem either.
Yeah, I think he came in as
It looks like they didn't update. It doesn't look like they updated the arts and sciences list because the Ducal Regent and Champion named don't match to their current Duke and Champion.
What it looks like is they listed the monarchy under the wrong column. So who they have listed for January through June is their monarchy through July through December.
Well, except no, Roshin's in there correctly. And let me check what I put down on the website, but I believe that's actually correct. They have the correct.
Because for their past and current officers, what they have listed in column 1 for Rose and Ryuk. That's both people who were Dutch and Regent and Champion for their quals down below. But Titus / Jose Favela was not listed under ANS.
Yeah, I'm suspecting
Who's Jose?
I'm suspecting that the ANS results are from last term. Titus, I believe, is Jose.
Mm.
That is an interesting catch. I did not notice that.
Terza Rose Brown is Rosethorn, and Nicholas Kaleidos is Ryuk.
And their regions. Okay, but Rose is listed as regent under the ANS, and Ryuk is champion. So that could at least be accurate.
So it just looks like the Monarch is missing, and the Monarch's not marked as a pro tem.
Let me pull up their last turn audit compare. So we have that technology.
So the column headers are correct.
Yeah, the column headers are correct. ANS is different from last term, so this is new information. Okay, so yeah, I don't know what happened there. On the website, I have Rosethorn as Monarch, Scorch as Regent, Ryuk as Champion, and Roshin as Prime Minister, and Scoot as, apparently I forgot his Jolly Green Giant styling as GMR. So as far as I can tell, this is accurate information. Except for the fact that Rose and Jose's ANS information is flipped on the ANS worksheet.
Sorry, what was that? You were breaking up.
Okay, so as far as I can tell, this is accurate current information, except for the fact that Rose and Jose are flipped on the ANS worksheet. Catch that?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments, concerns about Shargata?
So does that mean their regent didn't qualify and isn't listed as pro tem?
As far as I can tell, I believe that would be the case.
Okay.
See, I don't think that's right because Rose is kind of an ANS powerhouse down there. I can't see her not qualifying.
She's Monarch.
Huh. So who's current regent?
Regent currently would be Scorch.
They'll put it on the freezer so that way you can keep it.
Yeah, but current regent isn't the one, isn't the person who was during the July through December 31st reign. Does that make sense?
Okay, so yeah, okay, I think I'm seeing here. So Rose did qual, Ryuk did qual, Scorch did not. So they just have put the wrong stuff under ducal regent.
Oh, god damn it! Right, because if they switched over monarchies in January, the website wouldn't be accurate. Okay, so I was wrong there. Crap.
Do we see anywhere listed where Scorch is pro tem?
No, it's not noted anywhere, I don't think. Skim through the letter quickly. No, nothing about it in the letter.
Okay.
And says she's having too many problems with various pieces of technology and is giving up for the night.
Who is?
Kim.
Okay.
So you're in for her for the remainder of the next week. Thank you for hanging out.
And it says, please send her the video link to transcribe.
Right. Okay. Do we need any further discussion about chart data, or do you guys feel comfortable voting?
Yeah, I move we put it up for a vote.
I'll second that.
James, go ahead.
Dave, I votes pass.
David Z votes excellent.
Elisa votes pass.
I'm gonna go ahead and pass. Vote pass,
Jody votes
sorry.
excellent.
Marcus votes pass.
Robert votes excellent by our guidelines. I hate that. We need better guidelines.
So that is 4 passes to 3 excellents. So pass is the final vote. And yeah, just because the officers and Cron Calls data doesn't line up, basically. What's next?
So next, I never got an audit from. And I messaged their prime minister about the audit, never got a reply about the audit. I buzzed about something else and getting a reply back a few months ago, so I don't know. But that means auto.
Sorry, what are we talking about? Oh, Sylvan Reaches?
Skyfire Bay.
No,
Oh,
Skyfire
Skyfire
Bay.
Bay. Yeah. I never heard anything either. For Capoeira, that would be an automatic failure. Is there any protest to that?
No,
No
protest.
protest.
All right. Well, let's move on then.
Sunfire Valley, I hear, is defunct.
Yes. That is the current rumor on the street.
Next active park is Sylvan Reaches.
Get an audit from them. Anybody have anything to note about, I'm in the wrong folder, Sylvan Reaches?
Well, I didn't see a ledger in there, but they also don't have any money to be counted, so I don't quite know how that works.
Second paragraph of their letter, you'll notice a lot of empty areas of our submission. This is not an error. Sylvan Reaches has no voting members, no collected dues, no coffers and such, no ledger or other financial records.
Even if you don't have any dues, I feel like a ledger should be like, hey, we got nothing, 0.
Yeah, like, opening balance 0, ending balance 0.
Well, now on the audit worksheet, he did fill in balance of $0 for the
So that would count for the ledger, but not for the financial records, correct?
correct.
They could have done something on a napkin.
Yeah, I mean,
I also don't think they met the attendance requirement as well.
I have them as not.
And they said they met it for November, but no, they didn't meet minimum attendance since October.
Yeah, so. Well, and they didn't make it for November because they were dark for 3 weeks in a row, every other week.
That sucks. I hate failing someone who at least tries, but 2 items is a fail.
Yeah.
Not meeting attendance is an automatic failure, too. And Jody's back. Welcome back, Jody. We're discussing Sylvan Reaches.
Well, December 31st. So there's one day in December.
They say they're going on hiatus till the summer.
Yeah.
So the next audit. Better.
Okay, well,
any
they
other-
didn't meet attendance. It's an auto fail. Next.
Any protest to a auto fail due to not meeting attendance?
No protest.
No protest.
Unfortunate that we don't have a way of saying that a park is only so many months out of the year and on hiatus the other months. But we don't allow for that in Westmarch, so oh well.
No.
We're not Minnesota. Nothing's being frozen. It just gets uncomfortable.
We
Yeah, I
just
mean,
have fires.
Okay, granted. I was going to say California is really easy. We don't really have anything that would require a park to shut down for. But fires and earthquakes, whatever.
Earthquake's temporary. We're out in the middle of a field. What could happen? A tree fall on us?
Well, that or the field breaks apart. Whatever.
Area of effect spells were removed in V8, so it's not legal.
I'll take that. All right, what's next?
Next is Thor's Refuge.
Any questions or comments? It's a comment. It's a question. It's a comment about Thor's Refuge.
I think the previous PM election results were missing, and I didn't see a 1217 sign-in.
I came in as pro tem that last time because there was nobody to fill the position. So it was you're stuck with it, and I just continued on for 6 months. So there was really no election for my third term as PM.
Wasn't that when the previous PM was banned?
Nope. That was when the previous GMR was banned.
Okay.
No, because we had Colin come in for a third term, so yeah, we didn't ban him and then hand him the cash box.
No, I was thinking of someone else. I just didn't want to say names.
There still should have been a confirmed call.
Well, I was confirmed, but it was a raise of hands, and I don't know if our GMR at the time took notes.
Should have been notes taken.
That was the one before Tiberian. So whoever was GMR before Tiberian was on that.
Okay.
It's also possible the park might have confused the vote to confirm for a third term was the election as well. It would just be nice if they could have put that those all-thing results in there.
Right. But I believe we only need the vote on the current monarchy, and we need the list of past monarchy. It doesn't require actual votes of the past monarchy. Only current
The list
per
of the past,
Kokora.
I don't think the past monarchy is actually required at all. It's just on the sheet for, hey, I have this base. Yeah, it only asks for current officers.
So that wouldn't be a punishable offense.
Nope.
No, I personally would not mark it down for that. Any other questions or comments about Thor's Refuge?
The 1216 sign-in, I didn't see it, although I probably missed it, so if someone can point me at it, I can fix it right away.
1217 is missing. I had confirmed that with the Prime Minister.
Really?
I think they had more missing and they were supplied, and this one did not get.
Correct.
In there.
Originally, blah, 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 blah. Show me everything, damn it. Oh, I don't know what is going on with Google. Yeah, but there was like 3 or 4 sheets that were missing. I hope I got in touch with Quinaw, asked for the sheets. He was able to get, even including the blurry, messy 9-3 second half. He was able to get all those except for 1217. So that's the only one missing. Anything else?
Since I wasn't on the BoD last year and I wasn't here for the first meeting, what is the take on a missing sign-in sheet? Does that degrade from excellent to pass, or is there a certain number you're allowed?
A mulligan policy was not discussed, as far as I'm aware. Maybe someone can correct me.
That is a subjective item currently.
So the board officially does not have a policy on missing sign-in sheets. And we would
We'll
be
find out
following-
when we vote.
We'd be following the letter of the Capora. Is that everyone's understanding of that?
That's what we do.
Okay, that's what we do. Sorry. Okay, any other questions or comments about Thor's Refuge? Shall we have a vote?
I make a motion, we vote on TR.
I second.
All right, Damo, start us off, please.
Dave, I votes pass.
Oh, David Z votes excellent.
Elisa votes excellent.
Dean will vote pass.
Jody votes pass.
Colin Marcus abstains.
Can you bear with me a minute? I'm trying to look on the ORC and see if we met that day and just misplaced it. I was thinking December 17th was the day that we called because it was
met.
like we met. Okay.
I think
All right.
there's even
Then-
there's an
then
attendance mark
Robert
on
votes
the.
pass.
Okay. So we have 2 excellents, 4 passes, and 1 abstain. Is that what everyone else recalls as well?
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
So the passes have it. Thor's Refuge receives a pass. What do we got next?
Next is Valley of the Fallen. Commentary on them.
Take my notes.
I had a question about the centers that are listed, like CIFT. What are the centers where it was under their advertising? It just wasn't clear to me if that's where they do the demos, if that's where they advertise and collect members. I didn't know what those were.
Oh, there it is. The document. I interpreted that as, well, a misspelling of sites that they've been testing out.
Where they've been what?
Where was this listed at?
Hmm?
Where was this weird initials that we're talking about?
It's a possible Word document that's possible sites.
Oh,
Discussing different locations, content, description of the areas.
yeah, I think. Go away. I believe this was provided to us by mistake. This doesn't look like it has any bearings at all on the audit.
Okay. Well, that explains why I was confused then. I don't feel so bad.
CIFT stands for Center for Individual and Family Therapy.
Thank you. That's why. Okay.
I think I just saw the flyer and then ignored the other weird stuff. Like, good enough. It's a check mark. We're moving on.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's what I did. I looked at it and went, oh, okay, moving on.
Okay. Well, good. I don't feel so bad about being confused.
Yeah. No, got us all.
They must not do demos there then. Okay. I
Not
vote that
only
we
was
pass
it
for the-
confusing, there was a bunch of them too.
Yeah. All right. Well, can I make a motion that we vote on Valley of the Fallen?
I had a question before we go there. They only got 2 people to pay dues this last term. We don't know who they were. They have a lot of dues paid members with only 2 people who paid dues.
Is there a corpora requirement for the number of dues paid members?
I just see the mismatch. I mean, if they're paying it by the year, I pay annually, so my dues will only show up every other audit. because I paid $20 every year. I just do it January
On the
1st
ledger, you
and get
mean.
it done with. So that's probably what's happening here. But
Yeah, he had a bunch
they
of
have a
people
pretty low.
hired.
It's
Or-
just a
yeah.
discrepancy in bookkeeping if they only paid every 6 months at a time.
For Valley of the Fallen?
Yeah, there's
There's two dues entries, but there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dues paid members listed.
You're
I
right.
think is what Colin is
Not
pointing out.
more than 2.
Doesn't the mini ledger show a dues paid entry of 6 and a dues paid entry of 24?
I see.
Which is explained as donations.
It doesn't say how many dues were paid at that time. It could have been 4 people plus a $1 donation, or it
that's
could have
fair.
been 1 person with a $19 donation.
So
So-
what does it say on the paper ledger?
Paper ledger just says dues paid $24, then donation
Yeah.
$1.
And this is why we would like to know who paid dues.
Yeah,
Yep,
Yeah.
we've accepted crummy ledgers from lots of other lands.
It's just a
yeah,
note.
it's not just
So
a note.
maybe that's something that we just need to say for future audits. Like we did
Hold on.
placeholders a while back, is if you can put dues paid and a name and itemize it more efficiently.
Yeah.
I
So
see their list of names. It's on a different ledger page.
their PDF that says
They've got-
VOF 20 dues is a much more complete ledger and does
Oh,
list
there it is.
individuals, and it does that out to the proper total.
Yep. Okay.
All right, I
I
see
remember
it.
seeing that now.
Yep.
Never mind.
Okay. Very
We're
well.
good.
Okay.
Maybe we should put a note out that just says, look, guys, make it easy for the BOD. It makes us happier.
Yes, yes, it does, because we get this done quicker.
And that's very important.
It's very important for us.
Because, hey, failing an audit is really easy, guys.
Hopefully. Any other questions or comments about Valley of the Fallen?
It's only the difference between one letter.
Correct.
I made a motion that we vote.
I
And then Colin
second.
had a question. So second on the line, Ben, let's start us off, please.
Dave, I votes excellent.
David Z, that's excellent.
Elisa votes excellent.
I will vote excellent.
Jody votes excellent.
Marcus votes excellent.
Robert votes excellent.
Sounds like the excellence have it. The Valley of the Fallen shall receive an excellent for this audit period. Bruce, what do we have next?
Wave Haven.
Know that place.
Let's have on Wave Haven.
What did I have noted for Wave Haven? Oh, yeah, nothing.
Misty also knows how to put together an audit, doesn't she?
Better at this point. She's been doing it long enough.
I liked the ledger. I thought that was nicely done. And I also liked the display of advertising material. We've talked about it being a verb and not a noun, and I think they did a good job at that.
But it's not our current requirement, though. Just
No, I understand that, but just based on history, I wanted to say that I thought it was well done.
any other questions?
I
or
have no
comments?
questions about the Wave Haven audit.
I will point out a reminder that this is a barony audit. And shall we have a vote then?
I make a motion, we vote on Wave Haven.
David Z seconds.
Dave, I votes excellent.
David Z, excellent.
Is it my
Sorry,
turn?
guys, my fault.
Yeah. Elisa votes excellent.
I will vote excellent.
Jody votes
That is
excellent.
Marcus votes excellent. Just wondering where the dues got paid.
What do you mean?
Robert votes excellent.
Thank you. The excellent. Excellent. There's a $20 dues paid on 8/19.
Yeah, I was just polearm guy.
Yeah. So again, it might have been everyone paid dues last term. I, like you,
Yep.
pay a year at a time, so mine won't show up until next, or maybe even longer than that. I dropped a lot of cash on the land at one point. Anyway, moving on. What do we have next, Dave? Jesus.
Last one is Wyvern Spur.
Did they double upload?
Meaning the folder?
Yeah.
No.
I'm seeing single copies. Oh, there's a extra version of the audit worksheet. WS Audit January 2018-02 is the most recent. It has an upload date of February 1st. I believe that was after and I.
Yeah, we made them
election results.
corrections. Well, expand information correction, but still. So yes, there is. Look at the more recent one.
My notes for say none currently, but yeah, my initial interest was that there wasn't an election for, was it the pro tem champion?
It was for the champion. We did elect him, and I don't know what happens to the information. It didn't get to Alicia very well, or if it got to her, it got displaced. It was in the middle of baby.
Oh, sorry.
So we all had baby brain.
Yeah.
So
My understanding was that he got selected, but wasn't confirmed by the vote. So I was just like, hey.
Well, we did vote for him.
Okay.
Yeah, this thing shows Ubrick 4-I, 1 abstain.
Perfect.
Yeah. So then we held
But I
a
don't-
second election for him to get that done.
Cover the bases.
So I didn't see him listed as dues paid. Can you remind me that you do not have to, because I think this came up earlier, you don't have to be dues paid to be pro tem,
do.
is that right?
You have to be a voting member to be an officer.
Therefore, you have to be dues paid. You just, it's not a vote against them on audit if they have a bunch of non-dues paid members being in their monarchy. That's
Okay,
a
so that
monarchy needs to talk to them issue.
Right, that was
also-
what it was. It's not an audit thing, it's a monarchy issue.
It's also possible he paid dues on the 1st of January, but we just don't have that information.
Okay,
That's true too.
Like this.
Any other questions or comments about Wavehaven?
He's speaking. Wyvern Spur.
Wyvern Spur.
David Z moves to.
I second the motion.
Thank you. You want to go ahead and vote too?
Dave, I votes excellent.
David Z votes excellent.
Elisa votes excellent.
Okay, thank you. Ian will vote excellent.
Jody votes excellent.
Marcus votes excellent.
Robert votes excellent.
All right, the excellent talent, Wyvern Spur shall receive an excellent for this audit period. What do we got next?
Open floor.
You mean we're done with audits?
Unless we have a land that
Any-
starts with Z.
What?
Or X or Y.
All right, well, it sounds like we are done with the land audits. So yes, next on the agenda would be the open floor. Does anyone have any matters they would like to bring forward to the BoD at this time?
I think your mic sucks.
Well, this is true. It is known. I was saying we are now concluded with the land audits. We are on the open floor portion of the meeting. Does anyone have any matters they would like to bring before the BoD?
I
Not for
think
me.
that we should, for the future, request a standard debit and credit detailed audit instead of scribbling on a piece of paper.
You mean a ledger?
Ledger.
Real
Yeah,
ledger.
sorry. You knew what I meant.
Yeah. That's definitely something we can make a note of. I don't know if.
Because one of the things is if these places are mismanaging their money and the government decides to audit us, we could be in a heap of trouble.
I don't know if it would come to that. My concern would be whether or not the board can legislate what is a ledger.
Only if they're active under our EIN number. If they're not doing any activities under our EIN number, then no, there would be no repercussions for Westmarch. It's just when you have events that use the EIN number for whatever reason, then you have to worry about how they're tracking money for that event.
Well, but how do you accurately track ties from the core lands if they're mismanaging their money?
Mm-hmm.
They receive a tithe. The fact of how it's calculated has no bearing. That just lands of paying tithes. That's all that Westmarch's accounting for. If they're sending too little or too much, that's not an EIN issue.
I feel like what Robert and Elisa are saying is that because we are receiving money from them, and then I will add on, because we also have a signed contract with them, all their mistakes could be our mistakes. We're responsible for any errors they have.
What I've done is I've made a note in my little things here that I'll bring up to all the lands that they should have their ledgers in an actual ledger book, not scrawled on paper, and have a section specifically for debits and credits to make sure these are all done in a more uniform manner.
And fully notated dues.
Yeah, and also too, like write down whenever you pay dues who it's for, or when you spend money, what was it? Be specific.
Yes. Specificity.
And then just to be clear, for the purpose of the audit, we're not requiring receipts for that, just a ledger, right? Because remember, we've had them take pictures of receipts, but we don't require that for the audit.
It's great to see copies of receipts, and it definitely fulfills the financial records requirement if they do.
It's best if they actually keep receipts for their own edification, so that way down the road, if someone 2 years later finds something went wrong, having receipts helps out. Plus the BoD can perform an independent audit of a group, which could include things like that. So it's in their best interest to hang on to them.
Is that actually in the Kapora somewhere that the BoD can step in and audit a subgroup?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
That's again, I feel like that again relies on that any records and finances of the core land or the subland are the purview of the kingdom. The prime minister and the treasurer are allowed to do audits of those.
The first line under audit says the kingdom may audit any sponsored chapter at any time to ensure the smooth operation of the sponsored chapter. So it would be whoever the kingdom wants to assign. And if it were me, I'd obviously bring the BoD into it too, since that's sort of can come into a contract issue or law. So yeah, it's just up to the kingdom, whoever's going to decide to make that happen.
I would like to make, I don't know, request. I'm just going to kind of put this out there that there's really no formal protocol for how do you keep receipts, how do you continue ledgers between reigns, in lands. There's no outline or guidelines for how things get stored and archived, so that if you do have to go back and do an audit, kind of like Ash Inspire, it's somebody had the money and it was in a box, and then the land dissolved and that disappeared. I'd like to suggest, I don't know where it would go in, but we should have some kind of archive or something where all of this stuff gets stored just for records. That's all.
We do have audits saved, and I mean, taking a look at that, I can see, check tonight, Ephraim was the last PM at the meeting. He would be contact as to where the money went.
The corpora already states that records must be maintained for a minimum of 3 years.
Yeah, but who keeps them when the reigns change? Theoretically, they get transferred from PM to PM, but are they in a box? Are they on a zip drive, a flash drive? Or
That's up to individual PMs. A good one has both. Bad one has a bar napkin.
We have a cover your ass page of a handoff checklist that they sign off on to show everything was handed off.
I guess what I'm saying is all the lands are going to be different, and all the lands are going to have different levels of expertise and quality. That maybe there should be a standard for the kingdom. That has nothing to do with audits, but I'm just kind of throwing that out there.
Enforceable? I doubt. Recommended? Yeah, not without a corpora change. But a best practices handbook? I'm sure there's a couple of PM guides out there right now. I believe Lady T and what's her name over at Arsaltis put one out.
Oh, yeah.
I think Alera down in Valley of the Fallen also has a how to do an audit or a Shire level guide, if I recall correctly. But yeah,
not just audit, but how to PM.
Right. We can make recommendations, and like if we find a guidebook or something like that where we're like, this is how you run a business, this is what your land should be doing as far as best practices, the board can absolutely make a recommendation, but it's not within our purview to do enforcement. And then it's probably not within the kingdom's purview beyond just being like, hey, you guys should be doing better, here's what we recommend as well, without a corpora change. I still feel like the kingdom monarchy can be like, yo, this is getting a little ridiculous. We need you to up your standards, please.
Actually, what Jody brought up has another interesting point that I've made a note here to bring up, is there needs to be something in our corpora about what happens to land funds when a land ceases to meet. So you don't have the last PM wandering off with the cash box a couple $100. That if the land is going to cease to meet and there's no one else to handle it, they should give that money to the kingdom to at least hold it for a period of time. But that way the money doesn't just disappear.
Well, and I want to make a note because I was the liaison when that happened. And he, Corvus, I think it was, he contacted me and he really wanted to make an effort on what do I do with the money, and it was this huge kind of a gray area that, well, hold on to it for now, because there wasn't really any outline for, does he turn it over to Westmarch? Really, there wasn't any guidelines as far as what happens with that. So I just want to put in there that as far as that specific situation, he really tried to and reached out to me and wanted to make it right. But it was an interesting situation that exactly your point. Well, what do you do? There was no guidelines, and there was no, okay, meet us here and it goes into the Westmarch funds, and when your land comes up again, it will come back to you.
I'd put a time limit on that when it comes to holding, because I don't want someone to disappear for 10 years and come back and say, where's my money? But I'd say that Westmarch holds it for a year or two before it goes to general funds. That way, at least if someone tries to bring that thing back, they can have those funds again. But after a couple of years, then sorry, you're basically a new land.
Yeah.
That used to be covered in the contract that you signed with Amtgard Burning Lands. It specifically said if a land went defunct, it was divided among the members of the last members of the land. But it's like Crimson Sanctum, they're still close to $1,000 just floating out there because the people involved didn't like each other and the person who had control of the funds refused to give it up.
Maybe we can have a corpora amendment that demands people act like adults.
Is there still a corpora committee?
No.
Is there still a corpora committee?
No.
Negative. I believe that after Culebra descended from office, the current one was not re-upped.
We operated for like a couple months past Culebra's reign, and then it kind of petered out from there because we didn't get any feedback from the monarch. Is there anything else anyone would like to discuss?
How about the date in March that we next meet?
Hey, I think that would be a great topic to quickly go over. So we've been at this for almost 2 hours now. A direct month from now would be the 15th, because February, March do that crazy little thing where they're exactly the same dates. March is just longer. It's got to show February up. Is there anything occurring around March 15th that would prevent everyone from showing up?
I don't think so.
No.
Do we need to consider meeting a bit earlier so we can address this this Darkshore thing when it gets a little more traction?
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say if we meet on the 15th, but we need to do something earlier for the Darkshore contract. Can we maybe meet earlier? I just don't have a date on how long it's going to take after the application gets submitted and they get the the reservation and the hardcore stuff back to me.
And the insurance requirement.
And yes, and that.
Okay.
Or we can set the meeting for the 15th, but then just to everyone understand, like we may need to, do a hot meeting to get that thing resolved.
We can always have a vote on the forums as well. As long as it's,
Yep, we've done that before.
As long as it's publicly posted, any discussion happens on the forums. That would totally be a legit answer to that as well.
Okay, so let's go ahead and set the 15th if everyone's on board, and then we'll just adjust if we need to for the Darkshore stuff.
I second that. What time?
I would ask any protest for the 15th.
Same time,
how's
7 p.m.
How's 7 p.m. sound?
Good.
That sounds good.
All right. Unless there's any protests, let's have a vote for the 15th at 7 p.m.
Dave I votes yes.
David Z votes yes.
Elisa votes yes.
Ian vote aye.
Jody votes aye.
Marcus votes aye.
Robert votes aye.
Sounds like the ayes have it. We shall meet on the 15th of March at 7 p.m. with the understanding that we may have a quick either online on Hangout or a quick forum-based meeting and discussion for contractual obligations for Darkshore. So at this time, I'd like to thank every single one of you for hanging out for 2 hours, putting up
I
with
make a
all the
motion we adjourn the meeting.
technological problems. And we have a motion to adjourn the meeting. Can I get a second, please?
David
I
second.
second that.
All right. Damos, please start the vote.
Dave votes yes.
David Z votes yes.
Elisa votes yes.
Vote yes.
Is it my turn? Ian, did you go?
I did. Did you hear me?
Jody votes aye.
Marcus votes yes.
Robert votes yes.
Okay. Let's have it. We are officially adjourned. Thank you, everyone, and please enjoy the rest of your night. So it's a long one. We got through it.
Just real quick, I want to tell you that having not been on the BoD for a couple of years, this was a much more enjoyable and much better experience with the audits. So thank you guys for your hard work, and thanks to everyone who started creating those spreadsheets. And this is just a much less of a hair pulling experience. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.